First, I have to start off by saying that for several years, my Instagram and Twitter profile headlined TED Talk Hopeful. So this is basically a dream come true. I'm going to start off today by asking, raise your hand if you've eaten today. Yeah, all of us. Let's give a round of applause for the farmers out there. Thank you, farmers. I'm going to be interactive today and go into the audience because this is such an important part to showcase why agriculture is so important to the world. And I have a volunteer who's going to stand up. Imagine there's probably about 50 people, or imagine that there are 50 people in here. This one woman represents the statistic of farmers and ranchers that feed the rest of the United States. So imagine this one farmer has fed all of us in this room today. This is their career. This is what they work towards. This is their job. From sun up to sundown, they're working to produce food for the United States population. Thank you. You might wonder, why am I wearing this lab coat? What does lab coat have to do with agriculture? And I have to be honest that in 30 years, this lab coat will have everything to do with agriculture. I'm Blaine Merkley, and I'm an agriculture science major. In third grade, my dad picked my two older brothers and I up from school and asked, hey, do you guys want to show pigs in 4-H? And being adventurous, we said, of course, we want to show pigs. So for 8 years, I showed pigs in 4-H and FFA. Through FFA, I was able to do dairy judging, evaluating dairy cattle, and I got pretty up close and personal with them as well. And I also grew a habit of milking other animals. This is Mary, one of my cousin's dairy goats, pygmy dairy goats in Oregon. Sweet, sweet gal. Love her to death. In FFA, I had the opportunity to expand my passion for promoting and talking about agriculture. This is an organization that enriches leadership abilities and the ability to promote agriculture. Now, for me, agriculture, not necessarily for me, but what I know that farmers and ranchers today are superheroes. I like to say that they're also, feeding the world. What does that mean? And to put that into perspective, I've gotten this apple. I've arranged to bring this knife up, so don't be alarmed when a giant knife is pulled out. Yeah. Let's imagine that this apple is the earth. What part of the earth do we actually farm and ranch on? Well, as we all know, 3/4 of the earth is oceanic. We can't grow food in the ocean. So 3/4 is gone. We're left with 1/4, and I'm going to divide this 1/4 into half to an 1/8. And this 1/4 represents tundra areas, mountainous areas, places where we can't grow food. And then I'm going to divide this 1/8 into 1/4. And these 3/4 represent where we live. This is our homes, parks, side streets, sidewalks, pavement. We can grow food in our gardens, certainly, but we're not growing enough food to substantiate a global population. So we're left with 1/4. But we can't grow food in the core of the earth. We can only grow food on the surface. So I'm going to slice this. This is what we currently grow food on. This little fragment. But with populations expected to rise 9 billion people, 9.7 billion people in the next 30 years, and populations migrating to urban areas, we'll probably even see a smaller portion of this, where we currently feed all 7.5 billion people currently in 2018. That's insane. So like I said, farmers and ranchers are superheroes. They're doctors of the land. And there's a stigma that farmers and ranchers are all about cows, plows, and sows. But there's more to agriculture than meets the eye. Farmers and ranchers today are veterinarians. They are animal health experts. They make sure that our livestock are healthy so that we can sustain a global population. They're also soil conservationists, soil scientists, natural resource experts. They make sure that our land is rich with enzymes and nutrients. And they're also mechanics. They're animal nutritionists. And they're modern day technology gurus. This gentleman right here is using a drone to fly over his fields and map out where there's nutrient deficiency in the field and what needs more water. This is a great example of precision agriculture. We're using less resources and less people to grow more food, to yield more crops. They are modern day superheroes. But what does this 2015 statistic mean? And in more developed countries, like the United States and Europe, we're going to start seeing that the populations aren't going to rise. Populations are starting to rise in the least developed countries, in the less developed countries. And I specifically want to point out where populations are rising the most. And we can see that China, India, and Nigeria are growing the most. And specifically in Nigeria, look at this. From 2013 to 2030, Nigeria's population is expected to increase 57%. That's insane. And to show a comparison between the United States and Nigeria, I've come up with gross domestic product description of the comparison. Let's go back actually. See the size of Nigeria up here versus the United States. Now let's go forward. The United States' current GDP is $18.5 trillion. The current GDP of Nigeria is $405 billion. In 2050, United States GDP, $34.1 trillion. 2050 GDP for Nigeria, $3.3 trillion. Here's where things get sketchy. Current population in the United States right now, 325.7 million. Current population in Nigeria, 186 million. 2050 population, 438 million for the United States, and in 2050 population, 340 million by 2050. In 30 years, Nigeria will have surpassed the current population of the United States right now. And they're already struggling to feed their population. So why is this happening? Well, it's a simple equation. Countries are starting to see that they can pass different laws to increase their business environment. And also we're starting to see countries trade more, global trading their products and importing other countries' products. This creates a strong economy. With a strong economy comes a higher living standard. And within Nigeria, people are starting to see a higher living standard. Let's do some simple math. A higher living standard plus the lack of education, and specifically sex education, equals overpopulation. Overpopulation plus the lack of structured agricultural systems equals malnourishment and famine. 2 summers ago, I had the opportunity to visit a developing country, Honduras. And in Honduras, we read a book called Helping Without Hurting. Helping Without Hurting poses a simple idea. It's as simple as ABC. ABCD, asset-based community development. Asset-based community development focuses on the resources that communities already have, so that they have the ability to produce food using the resources. The United States likes to invest in this other idea, which is need-based development. Need-based development is just giving these struggling communities the tools that will help them survive marginally for a short period of time, like clothing and tires and so on and so forth. And then it gets used up, and then it becomes trash on the side of the road. In Honduras, I got to build a house for a family in need. This is me with a boy named Freddie, who is also in this picture. This is his family, and we built this home for them because they were literally living in a shack, put together by crates. This is me and my fraternity brothers in front of the house. In Honduras, I had the opportunity to build a house for a family in need, and we also got to discover the agricultural systems in the country. And I have to say that normally a drive that would take us 10 minutes in the United States takes them 2 hours because of poor infrastructure. How does that affect their ability to do global trading? How does that affect their ability to compete nationally using the products that they produce? This is pretty impactful. How can we help those that are in need develop stronger communities and amplify their economy? This is looking into the future. And what I expect from the future is more education. We'll start to see a rise of education in developing countries by promoting these resources to these countries. And giving them in the language that is native in those countries is also a problem. When we give them education, they're also going to have the ability to access technology. And through technology, they'll increase their yield by being more responsible stewards of the land. Right now, there isn't a whole lot of responsibility because they don't have extension services to understand what precision agriculture is, what soil conservation is, how to work with the micronutrients within soil. So with technology and education, we can start to see a surplus. But I think that there needs to be education within the United States as well. And education as far as what technology will become in the United States. Right now, in every industry, the current population or society accepts and promotes technology in those industries. Business, healthcare, transportation. But right now, the society as a whole doesn't accept technology in agriculture, genetically modified organisms, different ways of developing meatless-based foods in laboratories. This is becoming the future. If we accept technology in these other industries, why don't we accept the technology within the agriculture industry as well? When we do this, we're also amplifying farmers and ranchers' ability to be able to produce more food with less resources, less pesticides, less herbicides, less water. We're conserving for the earth. A lot of people ask me, so you're an agriculture science major. You want to be a farmer? And my answer to them is yes. And I want to be an agriculture educator. I want to be an agriculture engineer. I want to be a plant geneticist. I want to be a soil conservationist. I want to be a natural resource guru. I want to be a technology guru. I want to be all things. My name is Blaine Merkley. I'm an agriculture science major. I want to save the world. Don't you? Thank you.